Hello everybody and welcome back to my YouTube channel. This film is rated MA 15+ for strong horror violence and sex scenes. This is Kia's Reviews and this is my review of Pearl. Where X banks in on the sex, gore, and horror, Pearl encapsulates the tamer, conventional, and fun style of thriller. Even though these two films are connected, X and Pearl could not be more different movies in their approach to creating these magnificent stories, as there are only a few linking elements to tie them both together in a nearly fully formed trilogy. X was one of my favourite horror movies of last year, as it engrossed itself in portraying some of the most brutal and thrilling kills that I've ever seen within its genre. The R18+ rating was honoured by the graphic content that it produced. However, Pearl contrasts dramatically to the graphic nature of X, since everything is a lot more stylised in this prequel. This prequel sheds more light on the elderly woman in X, and since it was filmed back-to-back in New Zealand at the same time as X, it was really awesome seeing how Goth was able to portray three different characters across both films: Maxine, and Pearl as an older and younger woman. Seeing how the origins of this killer's mind began was exactly what I was looking forward to with Pearl, and I loved the subtle transition from the ambitious woman Pearl was into the killer that audiences are now familiar with. Releasing both films in 2022 in the US would have been a fantastic approach because it was a real surprise knowing that both of them were filmed at the same time, but as a prequel, Pearl doesn't disappoint or let down audiences that enjoyed X because they aren't really movies that you can compare since they differ in such massive ways. It's annoying that it's taken Australia so long to get this film in cinemas, but thankfully we have it now. My favourite difference from X within Pearl is how much inspiration Ti West, the director, took from the 30s and 40s eras of cinema and was able to transform this installment from being a typical modern thriller into something that celebrated its influences, capturing multiple aspects of the golden age of Hollywood spectacularly. Given that there is a lack of gore and violence throughout the entire runtime, it doesn't take away anything from the experience, because when there was a murder taking place, it established more of an exciting impact of getting a mere taste of violence rather than a satisfying variety of kills like in X. It adopts the Golden Age cinema approach as it doesn't linger on the kills, and sometimes the kills are done off-screen, leaving the audience out of seeing some of the gore that was so graphically portrayed in the first film. I also loved the influence of this stylized violence due to how many eras of cinema that it encompassed, and one of my favourite horror movies of all time conveyed certain elements to Pearl which I loved. This would be the fluorescent blood aspect that was used so beautifully in Dario Argento's 1977 classic Suspiria. Seeing the use of fluorescent blood in this film made me surprisingly joyful, as I love the bits and pieces that it took from other films in the genre, but remaining a modern telling of the story, while still being overshadowed and stylized as a project that you'd see come from the 1930s or 1940s. I enjoyed seeing the parallels between the characters of Maxine and Pearl become more prominent in this outing, given that Pearl's aspirations of being involved with the industry was done brilliantly with a technicolor cinematic approach. Goth was phenomenal in this role too, and I actually enjoyed watching her play a younger Pearl than I did watching her as Maxine. The red dresses she wore in this movie were brilliant too, as everything felt so vibrant like you'd see in The Wizard of Oz and Singing in the Rain. Where X is a testament to horror, Pearl feels more like a drama thriller that is sending an ode to the golden age of cinema. Goth was a powerhouse, and her character development was wonderfully enjoyable as she transitioned into the killer that we know this character to be in X. While this is a stark contrast to X and adopts a very different approach to making this prequel, it doesn't take anything away from its predecessor, which I loved. This trilogy is turning out to be incredible, and while I think rewatches of both films will determine whether I enjoyed X or Pearl more, I think that they are hard films to compare because they are so different. I love them both, and they're certainly two of the biggest highlights of the horror genre in recent memory, so that makes me incredibly excited to see this trilogy round off with Maxine, so I'll give Pearl an 8 out of 10. Thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to my channel and follow me on Letterboxd and Instagram for all of my latest movie reviews. This has been Kia's Reviews, signing off for now.
Don't forget to like, follow, and obey.